Hello, my name is Jenna Bosiger, and thank you for watching my Cryptids YouTube channel. On this episode, I continue on with my Bigfoot cryptid research documentary that I was doing back in 2013, and this is going to be episode 12, called The Pictograph in My Cryptid Hotspot. And it's about this strange pictograph that I found while investigating my hotspot. So a quick recap, I had found this new hotspot on Google Sky Maps, and when I went there, I found multiple prints of different sizes, and then I also found the handprint, the nests, which led me to research the Hammett Underground, and then I discovered the kill field, and that's basically where I left off. That's in episode 11. I talked about how upon entering the kill field, the entire vibe would change, and you could feel it, and you could also see it, because as soon as you entered, it got really dark and shady in this area. And it was like damp, there was like a heaviness in the air and a feeling of being closed in on all sides and like suffocated, and you just felt like you wanted to leave to escape. And at the end of the kill field, there was another section that opened up into the light, and it was big and wide, and on the other side of the riverbed, it seemed very far away, whereas in the kill field, it's very close. So as difficult as it was to be in the kill field, but I would still force myself to do it anyways, I was totally unable to pass a certain point where the kill field ended and where this next part of the riverbed started. And I tried again and again, and I was never able to cross the threshold, at least not alone. There was even a stick going diagonal across the path to enter this area, and it was like an invisible barrier that I was literally never able to cross, not even a couple steps in. And I kept trying, and I would plan to go in thinking this was going to be the day, but as soon as I would get to that exact spot, I couldn't move any farther. And that's why I named this next section the Forbidden Zone. And eventually I find some escorts who agree to go into the Forbidden Zone with me, and that will be in about a month from what happens in this video. So during that month, I made many return trips, and I spent a lot of time looking into the Forbidden Zone with my zoom lens and taking pictures, and I would just spend time looking for new prints and taking pictures for art reference for my paintings, and just, researching the area. I kept going up the riverbed because that's where the Forbidden Zone is, but then one day I decided I would just go down the riverbed a little ways, and I didn't go very far when I just happened to see this pictograph on a large rock. I was walking along the base of the cliff at the edge of the riverbed when I saw it, and when I came across this stone, it seemed very out of place. It's almost like turned on its side, and it seemed like maybe it had rolled down the hill. It just seemed like a very strange place for a pictograph, and it was the only one I saw around. But I wasn't able to investigate on the cliff or the other side of the riverbed because that's part of the Socal Reservation, and it is off limits to the public. I really hadn't confirmed that it wasn't done by modern man until after making this video, because I learned that it matches the colors and pigments used in other pictographs in the area. Also, in examining it and comparing it to graffiti and looking at the edges and how faded it is, and then also considering how the color was applied, it doesn't look like it was applied by a spray can. I mean, since the edges are faded, I would say maybe it was applied with fingers. And scienceclarified.com says that paints were applied either by fingers or with brushes made from animal fur, fibrous plant leaves, or the shredded ends of sticks. Most of the remaining pictographs in the area are from the more remote areas like Anza Borrego, would have been done by the Pumayá, or the Chumash in central California, and they have pretty amazing pictographs in Carrizo Plain and some in places hidden in the Santa Monica Mountains. As far as the color goes, this red-orange was the #1 color used by the Native Americans in the area. Cine.com says that the Luceño pictographs painted with red hematite on the rocks. I'm usually interested in petroglyphs, those are rock carvings, more so than pictographs, which are the rock paintings, because petroglyphs are much older than pictographs. In fact, the oldest known petroglyphs in all of North America are said to be the ones in Lake Winnemucca, which is looks like walking distance from Pyramid Lake, where the red-headed giants were said to have lived, and where a group of them were admittedly also killed by the Paiute in Lovelock Cave, Nevada. So the fact that the giants lived by the oldest petroglyphs in North America is more like common sense than coincidence. It's actually logical, and maybe the giants were the ones that made all of the petroglyphs, and the ancestors to the Native Americans are the ones that made all of the pictographs. In Hemet, there's a famous petroglyph made by unknown prehistoric people at some time in the far past, and Hemet was a hotspot for dinosaurs, so why not prehistoric giants? I was really excited to find this, though, when I was investigating my cryptid hotspot. I just wish I had more pictures of it. It saddens me to know that since I've taken this picture, the area has been cleared out of all rocks, boulders, and trees by the city of Hemet, along with, who knows what other undiscovered artifacts, and they probably use the stones to crush them into make cement. I'm not happy about it. So this episode took on a life of its own because when I first found this pictograph, which was back in October of 2013, I started a folder collecting all of the pictographs that looked like they could resemble giants or other cryptid creatures. And so I was trying to see if there was a history of the Bigfoot cryptids I was researching in the area. So I've had this folder of pictographs for years now, and I've looked at it periodically again and again, but I see it differently now. For the first time, I see them all differently. And maybe it's just because I finished this video about the Anasazi possibly being victims to skinwalker attacks, where I saw a lot of petroglyphs and pictographs of what looked like attacks on Anasazi or Kachina type creatures. Maybe some of them look like Cocopelis. So for the first time, I'm seeing these local pictographs made by the Kumeyaay and the Chumash of both southern and central California, and they all look like they're being attacked. I've never saw that in the past, and I see it now. I see more than one that look like they're trapped with ropes and nets, with smaller people around attacking them. And I always see them with their hands up in like a surrendering position. And now suddenly I see them differently, like all these cryptids are being murdered. So I try to trace, since I couldn't see it, I guess I can't expect you guys to see it. So I tried to sort of draw it in so that you can at least see what I'm seeing now. I guess my perspective has been changed. And the other thing that I'm noticing, so I'm noticing that there seems like there's layers. And when I say layers, I mean like maybe over long periods of time. And then it occurs to me, could this have been like some kind of form of graffiti at the time over older rock art made by these different creatures? I mean, if they're killing them, it would make sense that if they came across artwork by them, that they would try and deface it. But it seems to me that there are layers drawn over the top, almost to cover it up, sometimes to change its meaning, maybe. Kind of like in the same way that you see graffiti layered over the top and painted over old graffiti, kind of these turf wars that go on with street art. For the first time, I'm seeing all of these pictographs in a new way, because I'm seeing a lot of the creatures, these giant creatures, look like they're tied up in ropes, and I see like nets, almost like there have been traps set for them. And so I just decided I would do a quick search for Native American rope traps, and then snares came up. In fact, survivallife.com says snares and trapping was one of the main ways Native Americans used to catch their food, and snares were among the most common types of traps utilized. And I did some other searches for Native American traps, and then these circular ones came up with these spikes in them, and they immediately reminded me of the circular discs that I've been finding a lot. And, you know, I always thought they looked like sun discs or some kind of vortex or portal, but now to me they're starting to look like these circular snare traps. And I'm wondering now, are these pictographs showing warfare going on? And it doesn't look like the kind of warfare where there's two sides fighting against each other. It looks like the kind of warfare where one side is attacking another. And that's what I found evidence of in Arizona, of the conflict that took place when the ancient ones, the natives, the original natives, native people, came in contact with the new natives, the Native Americans, as their ancestors. Anyways, it's something to think about, and it's just weird now. I'm just seeing them all differently. So, I don't know. Tell me if you see these things as well, since I've at least pointed them out. Maybe you can see them. Like I said, I didn't see them at first for years. So, I don't know if you'll see them or not. But I would like to know what you think about whether or not the pictograph that I found was done by modern day vandals, or if it was made with an artist from a different time. Be sure to subscribe and like if you want to see more and you want me to keep making more videos. And in the next episode, I will talk about what happened when I decided to try gifting in the kill field. And that's going to do it for this episode about finding the pictograph while investigating in my Cryptid hotspot in 2013 through 2015. And thank you for watching. Until next time, bye.